Right, anyway, sorry, what can I do for you?
Right, that's okay. So, can you just confirm date of birth and postcode for me before we go on?
Sorry, date of birth and postcode. 16th of
Yeah,
February
please.
1987, Golf 44 for Echo Uniform.
That's lovely. So, just to catch up really as to how things are going.
More of the same, I'm afraid, Judith. I've been
Right,
reporting
okay.
for nearly a year after being asked to take time off to cope with stress that I have a series of disputes that I don't feel able to cope with alone. I've been reporting this to my friend's manager, GP, and everything alongside the words nervous breakdown as early as November 2019. Um, I've been telling everyone that to cope with this nervous breakdown, this series of disputes that I can't deal with alone, I've been using drugs to vast expense. I've been very candid with this information. I've approached a number of therapists and rehab facilities to try and understand not only the impact of my drug abuse, but to try and secure some kind of humanitarian company to help me clear these disputes. And at the end of nearly a year of this process, I find myself bankrupted, friendless, alone, and just with yet more written admin. So I have been coping with this, as I've been espousing all along, this absence of humanity and continuation of written messages and disputes. I've been coping with this, as is my life choice, as is everyone aware of, by using drugs. I just see people allowing this process to happen after I reported the words nervous breakdown, and nobody is intervening. People are just asking me to ultimately govern my own ship. Now, considering I was reporting the words nervous breakdown, was asked to take time off to cope with stress, I've had nothing but a year of daily compounded active stress. So I'm very sorry to tell you off, Judith, but from my position, I consider that I should have, at the point I was asked to take time off with stress, resigned immediately. I have, along the way, very thoroughly documented everything that I've done, including a video, for example, of me calling Barclays Be Supported helpline and waiting for nearly an hour to speak to somebody who was ultimately just a counsellor. She had no medical experience. She wasn't able to help me with my financial, emotional, or physiological symptoms. So I just waited an hour, being told you will speak to somebody soon to be supported, only to find out at the end of that she had nothing to offer me. And I recorded it all on video. I've been calling the shots. I've been appealing to Barclays senior management who've told me I can expect a phone call this week. I mean, it's Wednesday afternoon. I've heard nothing, so I'm getting increasingly frustrated and angry. Barclays haven't paid me anything at all since May. I was expecting to receive income protection in place of my full salary. The income protection that they've appointed have disputed my claim in the most insensitive and brutal fashion, including referring to the cardiac arrest and death of my friend as the illness of a friend. That's one of many things in that letter that I'm going to utterly go through them for. Sorry, Judith, for turning you off. But again, to claim income protection, to write to me 2 months too late via my employer, that offensive decision is the opposite of income protection, is what I consider an active, ongoing crime that I need a lawyer to help me deal with. My employer has told me...
Have you gone
But
to
Judy,
apply?
please let me finish. Please let me finish. My employer has told me that they will appoint a lawyer to help me do this. I've already met with that lawyer. She's called Suzanne Quinn. She works for Legal Services Agency in the centre of Glasgow. She is a legal aid lawyer, so should be free. I've already met with her as early as February. She told me that I couldn't get sectioned because I'm not insane, that I can't get guardianship unless I pose an active threat to myself or others, so legally no one can help me. What's going on here, Judith? What's going on? I've tried everything that everyone has advised me to do, and as a result, I'm in ruins. That's why I'm angry. Had I just not trusted any of you and done it my own way, I would have been in the position I was all along, having money, access to labour, and a social life. I am, as a result of having trusted you, in ruins and utterly furious. I make apologies for this, but I really hope that you can just help me rather than just writing this all down and ultimately compounding my situation. So I think that's me done shouting at you. Thank you for listening. Please do let me know what you have to say. I'll take a breath.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I can say, James.
Neither do I, Judith, I'm afraid.
I mean, obviously, we're an advisory service. I cannot do anything.
I understand, but
with regards to
sorry to cut you off.
all these issues.
I really sorry to cut you off. I really do appreciate that, but from my perspective, I just return your word. Like, what else can I do other than everything that I've already done? I'm very sorry to direct all of this at you, but given that you're occupational health appointed by my employer, I'm just reporting that this process has made me a lot older, a lot more angry and unhealthy and financially bankrupt than I was before I started it. My employer appointed this process, which I am, for your information, recording on video for posterity only at this point in time. But if no one helps me out of this situation, this is all going on YouTube. And you might have concerns with that, but ultimately, you are in a position of employment. You have signed a contract of some sort. Your actions and your behaviour and your words will ultimately be subject to that contract of employment. So you have no choice in this matter. Neither do I, Judith. I am utterly in ruins. I am financially bankrupt. I have no people, despite a history of charitable conduct and no violent criminal record to date. And I'm furious at this. And if I'm being continually threatened, I will return with threats. But I do not wish to do this. I wish to return to work, to cope with stress, as I was asked to do nearly a year ago. However, after a year of isolation, I'm furious and bankrupt. I'm very sorry for this, but I need help, not more tired, overdue explanations of things that I've already done. You're here to provide occupational health. That's not happening. I essentially feel that you should basically we should end this phone call, you should document everything I've said, put it in a report, and we'll continue this process. And I will present that to Barclays, being like, this isn't working.
You know, the process of occupational health is an engagement between two people.
Agreed. 100%. 100%. Sorry to cut you off. Engagement between two people, i.e., you consider the perspective of the person who has approached you for help, and you give and take on both sides. What I see here is me giving in an awful lot, and nobody else doing the same. No one else will give an inch. Everybody just tells me things that I tell back at them. This is a binary dispute that will never end. It is not an engagement. I'm sorry for the tone and anger, but an engagement is one whereby all parties accept liability and fault.
I can't hear you when you're shouting, Joe.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm recording it all on video. You're recording the phone call. It's just a question of listening back.
I don't know what you want from me.
I
What do you want from me?
have told my entire support network and Barclays what I want and need.
I can't hear you very well.
Sorry, let me take a breath. I really need to calm myself down. Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah,
Please, Judith.
Keeping on with the call.
I know. No, please. There is some value.
Judith,
Judith, there is some value because it's being recorded. Please just let me breathe, and I will come back to you. Please just let me breathe, and I will come back to you. Right, thank you for that, Judith. What I observe, if you don't mind me talking at you again, is that whenever I try and articulate myself, I get right just about 80 or 90% through finishing telling my story, and for some reason that human being at that point seeks to just interrupt with something unuseful, and that causes me to do an in-breath at the point of my heightened agitation, which only causes me to get more further angry kind of thing. And I'll calm myself down kind of now, but that's the reason why this keeps happening. I know I'm complicit in this process, but very much so is everyone else I speak to. So if you'll allow me to just calm down again and breathe. as I'm very able to do for myself and others, if allowed time, ultimately, my response to all of this is I'm enduring a process appointed by my employer whereby I just report my distress at being unable to do my job. You write it down, it gets sent to people who ultimately process it and come back with, we can't help, you must help yourself. And given that I was asked to take time off to cope with stress and I've been saying, I can't do this, I can't help myself, I need another person, I guess I can continue following this process, but it has ultimately bankrupted me. As such, I'm expecting a call from lawyers that my employer have said they were going to call, who I've also called and chased, who aren't calling me. I've also been told to expect a call from Buckley senior management as a result of this, who haven't called me. You guys are still calling me, but ultimately it seems to just be to write down what I'm reporting and continue this process. So I agree with you that there's no point in continuing this phone call if you're unable to help me. If you're just going to write down what I've said, please go on.
Our remit is to assess fitness, to make sure that you are aware of all support that's available to you.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry.
And then to be able to provide recommendations when you get to the point where you are ready to go back to work.
Okay.
That's our remit. Outside of that is the Barclays processes. We don't have any control over, unfortunately, income protection or the Barclays processes with regards to...
I fully understand all of this, Judith. What I'm asking for is for somebody other than the person that was asked to take time off to cope with stress to govern this situation. What I find is continually people basically going, this isn't my problem, my process ends here, it's someone else's. Yes, I understand this. Ultimately, somebody has a duty of care here, and what I keep being told is that duty of care is for me to myself. Well, I knew that all along. However, I trusted in this process. I've abandoned an awful lot of autonomy, free will and finances along the way to engage with a number of these services that you keep referring me to. None of them have been effective. So you can all individually keep just deferring each other to one other aspect of this process, but this process is ultimately ineffective. It has bankrupted me and ruined me. I think right now I'd rather just end the call. If you wouldn't mind listening back to a recording, documenting it in writing and sending that to my employer, I think that's actually probably the most helpful thing that I can do, because then I can just speak to my employer and be like, yeah, that most recent report, can we please extricate myself from this situation via your financial assistance, or I intend to resign immediately and ultimately humiliate you guys if I must. But again, I'm not a threatening person by default.
That's the thing, James. I can't get involved in the business side of the...
I understand that, Judith.
That is not my remit.
I understand it. However, if I can cut you off, you are involved by virtue of being part of this process and having signed an employment contract. I understand your position. All you're doing is just stating it and writing it down. Please just go and write it down.
I can state how angry, upset, etc. that you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that you feel that there isn't any support available for you.
Well, there's no support available from a collective perspective. From all of your individual perspectives, you're all doing your job as I was once doing mine. It's just that ultimately, this, from my perspective, is all collectively a promise of help. Now, help needs to be something that ultimately helps me out of my situation, gives me autonomy and freedom, but collectively, individually, I just find people aiding this process of ruin. So, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything that's happened. Please, I think I'm just going to end this phone call. If you can just document what we've said and write it and send it back to my employer, I need to go and calm myself down.
I'll send you a copy. I won't put any further phone calls, James, because I don't think it's very productive.
I don't either, Judith, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry to shout at you. I really am. But I'm just, after a year of having endured this process and bankrupted myself in the process after having asked for help, these are my only options. Like, I just wish that all along, when I was asked to engage with these support services, I'd just chosen to look after myself, which is what people keep telling me to do. I wish I'd just instead gone, okay, I recognise that ultimately if I go through all of this, it's just going to ruin me. I instead choose to refute all of it and resign. See you later. However, now I'm a year into this process, I need to extricate myself from it. So yeah, please, let's not speak again, Can you document all of this and send it to my employer? I'm very sorry for shouting at you. I always wanted an engagement all along, but I've been trying to engage throughout, and I've just been accused of non-engagement and non-compliance. Now, from my perspective, given that I've poured out everything to everyone and humiliated myself in the process for an entire year, how does that not equate to an engagement and a compliance of some process? That's not a rhetorical question. I don't expect an answer. I'm going to wrap this one up because I'm really pissed off. And again, very much sorry for just shouting at you, but I need to just continue doing this, and I need to go, Judith. You've been very helpful. I really don't want to hear anything you have to say. I'm really sorry. I think I'm about to cry. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, right, yeah, thank you again for all your help. Please just send all this information to my employer.